Good morning. We are here live on this beautiful November 13th, 2024. I'm your host, Adam Holland. This is my co-host. Oop, my co-host, the Sleepy. There we go. Keep forgetting it's reversed. Boom, boom. A Sleepy Stevie Holland. And we're here to go over the important news, notes, analysis, trade ideas that are key to keeping us profitable here in these crazy markets. Um, I feel like being plugged into the pre-market prep session is just a complete cheat code. Yesterday, the market was red. People lost their heads. Is it over, right? Are we getting a sell-off? That wasn't even selling, right? That wasn't even a sell-off. That wasn't even, that wasn't anything. That was just normal price action, right? So the fact that people were like, oh my God, why is there a sell-off in the market? This must be your second day here, right? Because that is not a sell-off at all, my friends. But regardless, the market was red. And what do? We made money, right? Because we were aware, we were ready for that, we were patient, we were ready to execute. We had our game plan, we executed the game plan, we took profit at our price targets, and we kept it pushing from there. And that's what you're here to do each and every day. That's what we're training to do. There's a reason why, we're able to correctly predict elections 8 months before they happen, right? There's a reason why we are able to correctly predict Bitcoin and crypto breakouts, right? There's a reason why that we are able to correctly predict, for the most part, when we're headed up, when we're headed down, when you should be out in markets and when you should be holding. There's a reason why, and it's because we're here making a daily investment each and every day, right? It is not normal to be able to do that with consistency, but the reason why we're able to do that here is because we put in the work, right? Go yesterday and I see in the group chat like, oh, is now a good time to get back into crypto? And it's like I'm seeing that everywhere, and it's like, guys, if anything, that is the top signal. When someone who has not been concerned with anything for the longest time then comes back and says, hey, is this the time for me to do that? That's probably the time when you should be taking profit, right? Just a general fun little rule of thumb. Because once everybody is back in, typically you have already missed whatever that move is. I'm not saying that this is the highest that Bitcoin goes up. You guys already know my take on that. We reached our first major price target on Bitcoin for that big bull flag that I called out months back, right? As we approached that breakout, and we had been playing crypto tickers as Bitcoin, approached that breakout, and we were all on top of that. Obviously that was the time to get in, right? And from then on, we've rocketed up, and Bitcoin's pushing 100K, and everybody's like, "Oh, should I get back into Bitcoin?" If you believe in it, then there's never a quote unquote late time, but like this is not the best time, right? Definitely not the best time as we were hitting price targets. But just understand that again, that's typically how markets go, and you don't recognize that until you're a little bit more knowledgeable and you've been in them for a longer period of time. But it was the same thing with all these, like, hey, the market's running, and everybody's like, oh, what should I do? I need to grab some Nvidia. Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And all those people that did that, right, post the Trump announcement of the election win, pretty much screwed themselves over, right? Because we didn't really do much after that. Like we gapped up maybe that first day after, that second day after. But then, once people kind of start piling in, they're like, oh, the market's moving. By the time it reaches the general masses that the market is moving, the market has probably done that move. And that's why people, say that it's fake or that it doesn't work. It's not fake. It's not that it doesn't work. You don't work, right? You got to be here daily, consistently putting in the work, investing into yourself. That is what works, right? The market itself is agnostic. It doesn't care, right? The market doesn't work for anyone. At the end of the day, it works for those that work for themselves. So as long as you're here putting in the work, working for yourself, the market works for you. But if you want to try and like, oh, I'm not going to pay attention until the news reaches me, by the time the news has reached you, my friend, it is likely too late, right? So be here, put in the time, put in the effort, invest in yourself. It will always net the biggest returns. It'll always net the biggest returns. You might even find yourself being somewhat successful at predicting the future, right? Like we have been here, which helps when it comes to expectations, positioning your money, etc. So let's dive into what we got going on today on this fine Wednesday. Let's see here. Nice. Email absolutely chock full. And I believe that we got some CPI numbers as well this morning, some inflation data. So, like I said, we're here to get 1% better, guys. Make sure you throw that in the chat. Comment one, signifying your intention to get 1% better. We don't want to get better by accident, happenstance, or anything else, because I don't want to make money by accident, happenstance, or anything else. I want it to be something that I can replicate. I want there to be a system behind it. I want there to be rules that allow me to repeat that process over and over and over again. Right. So when you're here and you're here for a reason, you want to proclaim that. You want to make sure that everyone is aware of it. Your friends, your family, God, right? The universe, which is just the God that exists in every single living being around you, right? Living or inanimate, right? God's in everything. So when people say the universe, some people say, "Oh, why do you say the universe?" Just say God. The universe is literally just God in motion. That's what the universe is, right? So all those different things respect intention when it is stated. And that's something that is respected regardless of your beliefs, right? You look at somebody like Elon. Not a lot of people like Elon, but Elon makes ridiculous things happen because he states his intention and goes out and does it without any qualms with what anyone has to say about it. I mean, this dude is literally trolling his way into the White House, right? He essentially got the president elect to sign in an entity called Doge just as a troll to pump Dogecoin, and is now like reposting memes of himself on Twitter as like the head of Doge. He is literally creating a troll or a joke position in the highest office in the world. So if you can do that, you can do any. And a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, this is horrible. It's a disgrace." Yeah, it might be, but to me, all that says is if you want to do something bad enough and you put your mind to it, you can do it. You can 100% do it because this is ridiculous, right? So it's like it's all perspective. You might be that see that and be like, it's horrible. I see that and I'm like, so if you have a goal to make 10K in the market this year, this dude got to the White House and is literally playing a joke on everyone. So it's like literally anything is possible, but you've got to set that as your intention. You've got to be forthright about it. You've got to put in the work to make it happen, and you can literally do anything. Um, so do that by throwing those ones in the chat and let's put the action behind it. Here as we go into our top news, software-defined vehicles. So the numbers don't lie. Serious difficulties with finances and software architecture are pairing together. One of Europe's storied car makers and a loss-making EV startup across the pond. Their new joint venture will be called Rivian and Volkswagen Group Technologies and will strive to keep both groups competitive in a new era for the auto world. That includes fending off threats from dominant rivals like Tesla, as well as Chinese competitors that are driving into markets across the globe. New shocks, Rivian, ticker RIVN, is losing over $1 billion per quarter or 30 to 40K on each truck it sells, with current volumes not enough to sustain its spend rate. Unless it acted quickly, bankruptcy could have been in the cards, especially given the high borrowing costs and trends pointing to an EV slowdown. Meanwhile, Volkswagen is facing challenges of its own, including in-house innovation and breaking into the software-defined vehicle market. Problems with the software subsidiary called Cariad, which is Car I Am Digital, I guess. That's I guess what Cariad stands for, Car, I Am Digital. Problems with the software subsidiary called Cariad have delayed multiple car launches from brands like Audi and Porsche, which are crucial for Volkswagen due to their high profit margins. You guys might not have known that Volkswagen, owns all those companies, but they do. The issues previously led to a shakeup at Volkswagen, leading to the ouster of a CEO, Herbert Diess. He was replaced with Porsche brand leader Oliver Bloom, who overhauled Cariad's leadership last year with a new chief software officer from Rivian. It also triggered a rethink of how VW should approach underlying vehicle architecture. Eventually, the car maker turned into an industry startup, i.e., Rivian, that was having success with its design and ownership from its electronics on board, but needed a cash lifeline and favorable supply chain pricing to grow in meaningful scale. So in-house control, Volkswagen now plans to invest $5.8 billion in Rivian and the joint venture by 2027, up from an earlier commitment of $5 billion outlined in June. The funding will be tied to specific milestones, including successes and combinations in software, hardware, data, and network architecture. It will also give Volkswagen better access to the North American truck market and might even lead to a bigger investment or a total acquisition in the future, especially given if its new Scout Motors bet doesn't pay off. Now, long way to go. In pre-market movement, Rivian shares are up 14.7% to $12.13. The EV stock still trades well below its $78 IPO price, pricing level in 2021, and its all-time closing high of 172 0.01. Yeah, Rivian was supposed to be the Tesla killer. There have been a lot of different companies that have held that moniker, some for a short time, some for a longer time, but none of them have lived up to it thus far. Um, yeah, so good news for Rivian. Um, and we'll see if them and Volkswagen can pull it off. Let's go into what we have this morning in terms of today's markets. It looks like all of that has changed, albeit not really that much now. It looks like when we got this CPI data, markets pushed up, but since then they've kind of paired gains a little bit. So let's see what that CPI data was looking like. Da, 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 da. Oh wow, Supermicro computer shares down 3.2% pre-market after company delays filing of September quarter financial report. They just keep putting off these financial reports. It just makes them look more like they are, cooking the books. Let's see, US CPI actual 0.2% versus 0.2% previous estimated 0.2%. So US CPI month over month was exactly in line with expectations. So was year over year. Core CPI estimated zero point 0.3, actual zero point 0.3. So core CPI, month over month and year over year were also in line with expectations. So we got exactly what we thought we were going to get with inflation data. And I guess that's why we initially went up when we got that information. U.S. short-term interest rate futures rise after inflation data as traders price in firmer chance of December Fed rate cut. Spot gold extends gains after U.S. CPI data. Traders now see chance of Fed December rate cut at about 75% versus 60% before inflation data. So that's what we got. Kashkari also said that he has confidence inflation is headed in the right direction. Not ready to say inflation is stuck above 2%. Risks existed before the election. Need to watch the data. Okay. All right. So Kashkari not coming out with any, overtly negative news or bearish news like he usually does. And we got inflation data exactly in line with what we expected. Which is I guess kind of rare. I don't know when the last time that happened was, but we had SPY push up initially off the news, and then now we've kind of come back to pair those gains a little bit, and we'll see how that ends up affecting us throughout the day. What else is happening here? Musk Ramaswamy to lead Trump's government efficiency efforts. So again, that was what Doge is, the Department of Government Efficiency, and that's what Musk was named, to the head of, which is again, it's just hilarious. It just spells out Doge, and it's strictly to pump the Doge bag, right? Doge, which is a meme coin that is based off of a dog that was used in memes, and it's just crazy times. I think we live, if you're like a Marvel fan, I feel like we live in the wildest timeline. Like the wild, it's absolutely insane. Restaurant breakout, Kava soars as comparable sales sizzle again. Trump should keep, I mean, Kava just crushes it as a company. It's actually kind of insane. Like to see an IPO just crush it is very, very, very rare. And like them to continue to do in the restaurant industry. Not they don't have great margins. Like it's man, that is, I mean, hats off to Kava for that. I'm not invested in Kava, right? They're not a sponsor of this broadcast, anything like that. It's just when you see somebody out there doing well and crushing it, they're crushing it, right? They're crushing it. So I'm not saying go out and get any Kava or anything like that. I don't have any. But I mean, they are, one of those companies where still at IPO price, right? It still went lower than IPO price. So IPO still stands for it's probably overpriced. You can always get a better price than IPO, but it did not stay beneath it for long. And they've gone on to crush it, right? Absolutely crush it. So Trump should keep U.S. in Paris climate deal. Exxon says Exxon CEO. SoftBank to build supercomputer with NVIDIA's Blackwell. Yeah, apparently Masayoshi Son and Jensen Wong were sharing the stage and kind of joking about how SoftBank was one of the initial big investors in NVIDIA, and then they pulled their stake, and now they're coming kind of back with their tail between their legs, trying to make some more things happen. And they are partnering to build a supercomputer. OpenAI co-founder Brockman returns to startup after hiatus. That might be the one and only solitary headline I've seen about someone returning to OpenAI instead of just people leaving it. Because it seems like all people have been doing He's leaving that place. Amazon Zoox begins testing robotaxis in San Fran and Vegas. Mexico signals retaliation if Trump imposes 25% tariffs. Rocket Lab, ticker RKLB, soars to new highs on strong earnings and guidance. Rocket Lab, one of those names we've played before in the past, and it has rocketed for us. Honeywell, ticker Hun, jumps as Elliott takes $5 billion stake and pushes for breakup. Honeywell, another one of those tickers that we had been watching and keeping an eye on. But let me see here. Do we have anything else? No, I believe that wraps us up on this fine, fine, fine Wednesday. Oh, yeah, here we are. Okay, let me see. Honeywell actually looking quite interesting. Yeah, Honeywell can close above 236.86 by the end of the month. Honeywell can rocket over the course of the next year, 2 years. I mean, this is something that is not new to anyone. I've called out Honeywell a while back, and it's been mentioned intermittently. We talked about it during the Kaizen event. But Honeywell, I think we can close over this 236.86 level by the end of the month. Yeah, fires off a humongous bullish structure that has been years in the making, right? Years of accumulation of shares and years of accumulation of bullish sentiment. Yeah, Honeywell test and breakout, right? Fun times with them. So that could be a great look for shares, for leap calls, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll wrap it up here on this fine November 13th, 2024 edition of the pre-market prep session. Like I said, be careful out here with things pushing and everyone wanting to kind of get you in one asset class or another in order to pump their bags. Tune into the pre-market prep session, get educated for yourself. Talk to me about learning actually how to read charts, how you could be, executing in markets, recognizing these breakout levels. Bitcoin's breakout level was $74,415. The first price target was $87,876. We hit that this week. The second price target is $105,000 per Bitcoin, right? There's no guarantee that we go directly to the second price target. We are at the first price target. So make sure that if are kind of trying to manage your Bitcoin position, that you have that in mind, right? 80, 87, 87.6. Easy to remember. But just get with somebody that can read charts, learn how to read charts yourself, and stop relying on people because people will always be late. People will not often know what the heck that they're doing, and they won't put in the time to master things and truly get 1% better daily, which is what we're doing here, right? So just like whether we liked it or not, we called Trump winning the election in January of this year. Just like we called, Bitcoin's breakout, all of that stuff. That's a result of getting 1% better. So we'll be here each and every day doing that, right? And doing it at a deeper level within the trading group and executing to make sure that that manifests on the bottom line as well. So everybody have a great rest of the day. I'll see y'all later tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one. Peace.